It was a summer night in 2022. Nightclubs and venues were opening back up. 25-year-old Tanya Williams was booked at Liddy Lit concert venue on the night of June 1st. She sang in her free time and had been looking for a job performing at clubs or bars. Tanya was long-term girlfriend of Grover Tinkles. They'd been dating for 5 years. On the evening of June 1st, she was performing from 5 to 10 p.m. Her adoring boyfriend was going to go show up right before the show and watch. Little did he know he'd never come back.
Grover was pretty dope. He treated her pretty good. I don't know how good she reciprocated though. He told me that she starts like all their fights.
Tanya got there at about 4 p.m., and at 5 o'clock, she was a few minutes late to come out on stage. She announced to the crowd they had earpiece problems. After she finished the show, and the crowd left, Tanya searched for Grover. His car was still in the parking lot. She called him and he didn't answer, so she called the cops. The cops found Grover, dead, in the alley behind the venue. It was a gruesome scene. Grover was decapitated.
The venue is really close to a river. That's probably where the killer disposed his weapon. Tanya was immediately questioned and said she saw Grover in the crowd at one point about half an hour into the show. When asked about her whereabouts before the show, she said she was busy getting ready in the dressing room the whole time.
Her assistants agreed, and she was cleared as a suspect because she would have had blood on her if she did murder him.
It was a gruesome scene, and there were some odd-shaped, bloody footprints leading towards the river.
They found one of Tanya's hairs at the scene, but hair is easily transferable, and he could have just had it on him.
The blood pooled, showing where he was killed. The blood also flung on the wall, showing where the killer stood.
Tanya's hair was found at the crime scene. Hair is easily transferred, so it was probably just on Grover and flew off during the struggle.
The rigor mortis makes it look like he was likely dead a little longer than the time that Tanya said she saw him. He was dead for 5 hours according to rigor mortis, and 4 according to Tanya. But maybe he stiffened quicker because there was a struggle.
Police tracked down gang member Dan Menace. Dan has a history of violent crimes and has been in and out of jail. Dan was seen in the area at the time. He could have went home, showered, and threw the weapon in the river. None of his clothes were found bloodied, though. Tanya agreed that her and Grover fought sometimes, but said it's normal for all couples to fight, and she's heartbroken that her boyfriend is dead. The only other evidence found against her was a text to Tanya's best friend saying, "I think he might propose. I need to take his last name." But without much evidence, this case was going cold. But then, 2 days later, shocking evidence was discovered. A dive team searched the river, and a quarter-mile from the crime scene, a gun on top of a hazmat suit was discovered. The gun was holding down the hazmat suit at the bottom of the river. It also appeared that the suit was cut in several places with a knife. The gun wasn't rusty and hadn't been in the river long.
The fact that she had no blood on her was the only thing keeping Tanya from being the main suspect.
A hazmat suit was also found in Tanya's Amazon purchase history. Tanya could have used the hazmat suit to commit the murder and keep any blood from getting on her so she could perform. While Tanya was in the dressing room, she put on the hazmat suit, slipped out the back door, found Grover in the alley behind the venue, and shot him, and then cut his head off. She then cut up the hazmat suit, put the gun on top of it, and threw it in the river for it to sink and never be found again. She went back through the back door of her dressing room, got ready for the show, and went on stage. But why did she kill her loving boyfriend? She confessed it was because she would have to take his last name, and she did not want to be named Tanya Tinkles. Tanya was arrested and found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. The jury concluded she was guilty because the hazmat suit was not a coincidence and she had the perfect opportunity to murder him. She also told police that she saw Grover a half hour into the show, which didn't completely match up with his state of rigor mortis.
I knew the state of rigor mortis indicated that he was dead a little too long before we found a hazmat suit. We all thought Tanya had done it, but it was just a matter of how.
Grover was pretty dope.
Go.
I knew the state of rigor mortis.
It's about. You said go when you already started the thing.
So